welcome back for another episode of the Hilo Stitch podcast. I'm your host, Kristen, and today I'm going to be talking to you about a few whips that I have been working on and two new designs that I have recently finished. So if that sounds like something that might be of interest to you, I hope you will stick around. Right, welcome back for another episode. I have been doing some knitting. Um, I, as always, have a million whips, but I'm just going to focus on the ones that I've kind of actively been working on. And then we're going to get into the design stuff because that has been a little bit more productive. So one project I've been working on that doesn't really, unfortunately, look like very much is this. This is the start of my Rowena, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, jumper. So this is a pattern by Fable Knitwear that is just an all over 1x1 rib, kind of close fitting turtleneck sweater. And so this is what it looks like. The sizing for this, it is supposed to have negative ease. I'm a little concerned. I mean, ribbing is very stretchy. This will stretch out a lot, but still, it looks a little small. I said it's supposed to have negative ease, but I don't know. I'm just going to keep going because it's a bottom-up sweater, unfortunately. So there's really no way to know at this point whether it's going to work out for me or not. Oh man, just spotted a. As you can see, this is black yarn. This is Knit Picks Gloss, which is I want to say merino silk blend. Yeah, 70% merino, 30% silk. I picked this because in general, I tend to wear a layer under my sweaters, but this is supposed to be a very close fitting sweater. I'm not going to be able to wear something under it. It's going to be right next to the skin, and I wanted it to be something very soft, and this definitely is. It is also very dark, and I do not have very young eyes anymore. So I have already corrected a number of errors in the ribbing, and I just spotted another one. And one thing I'm not sure of is I kind of like the inside of my 1x1 ribbing better than the outside. So I was thinking about maybe flipping this around when the time comes to join the sleeves. But then the yoke is going to be all screwy, so probably I'm not going to do that. Anyway, so I've already corrected a number of misses where I've got a purl where a knit should be, and I just spotted another one, but this one is on the purl column, which is a lot less obvious, so I'm probably just going to leave it. So basically, yeah, this is just 1x1 rib, almost the whole thing. This bottom part needs to be almost 5 inches, and it's getting closer to 4. And then we start some increases for the body. But yeah, this does not look like much of anything because it is just almost entirely 1x1 rib. I am really looking forward to having a black sweater in my wardrobe. But I will say I'm not particularly enjoying knitting with the black yarn. It's just so very dark and hard to see. Getting older. It's not for everybody. So just plugging away at this here and there when I have a chance. It's not the most exciting knit. There is some cute stuff in the shoulders, when I eventually get there. But for now, it's just kind of a boring 1x1 rib. But, normally that's a very easy, TV watching pattern. But with this dark yarn, it's a little bit more of a challenge. So I have been working on that. And then slightly more exciting is that I cast on my Christmas sweater. It still doesn't look like much, but I did start it. So this is the start of my Betty and Judy Lodge Sweater. I'll go ahead and throw a photo in here just so you can see what this looks like. So I have done the back of the yoke. And now I'm on to one. I just finished this left front. Now I need to pick up the other one, and then that cute little color work pattern is going to start. Now that does use a technique that I really haven't done much, which is intarsia. It's a very small motif, so I'm not super worried about it, but I'm a little worried about it. Um, so far I am just following the pattern. I am going to reduce the number on this microphone. I am going to reduce the number of waist decreases. I don't want it to be quite as close fitting as, I'm not not a 50s pinup, and I don't need my sweater to be quite that close fitting. So I am going to alter that part. The only other change I've made so far is just using German short rows instead of wrap and turn, just because I think it looks neater personally for me. Um, so this is working up very quickly in worsted weight yarn. I am using the Knit Picks High Desert Worsted. So this one's called like Barnyard Heathers. You can see it's not like a bright red like in the sample. A little more muted, and then a nice white. In case you missed it, I recently did my 5 favorite Knit Picks yarns video, and this is one of my absolute favorite Knit Picks yarns, the High Desert. It's so squishy, it's bouncy. I just love it. So hi Finnegan. This is going very quickly. And as I said, I need to now pick up the opposite, right? You can see it's annoying. It's got a lot of ends. And it's just going to get worse when we start working the color work motif. But then, once the yoke is done, the complicated part, things will slow down. The body is just basically stockinette. So yeah, now I need to come in, pick up the opposite right shoulder, and keep moving on that. I do have high hopes of finishing this before Christmas. So I set up a little plan. I'm supposed to take 2 weeks to finish the yoke, and then 1 week for the body. And then I give myself 1 week for each sleeve, and they're not full length sleeves, and then for washing and blocking. The only tricky part is there's like a 99.9% chance that this red is going to bleed. And I don't want that. I don't want the red to bleed into the white. The pattern does suggest steam blocking, but I mean, at some point you have to wash your sweaters. So I'm a little worried about that. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I may just steam block it before the first wear, but then I don't know what's going to happen. So a little concerned about that. But honestly, at this point, there's really not a whole lot I can do. If I want a red, white, and green Christmas sweater, there's going to be some risk of some bleeding. So I don't know. And unfortunately, not unfortunately, but it didn't occur to me. I swatched with the white yarn because the red yarns are in Hanks and the white yarn is in this. So it was just easier. But I should have swatched with the red so that I could see how much it bled. And I did not. So those are the main projects I have been working on. I have gotten no farther than this with my stick season sweater for my husband. I think looks exactly like it did in the last podcast episode. Just haven't done anything with that. I also have done almost nothing with the sweater I started for myself for my birthday, which is and actually I put it on hold for some reason. I can't remember why. Why did I do that? Anyway, which is the Reading cardigan. I did pick up all around. I think I needed to use the needle for something really quickly. And then I took the needle off, and that's been sitting there. So I haven't done anything with that either. The only other thing I've been working on really is a sock, which doesn't look like much. This is a relatively simple sock. It's called the ribbit sock pattern. It's just a fake faux rib right now. It does have a more interesting heel, but I haven't gotten there yet. So right now it just doesn't look like much. So that is really all I've got for whips this time. Right. So let's talk about designing, because that is actually what most of my energy has been focused on recently. just because I was working on two projects that were relatively small and I wanted to get finished up. So one is what I'm wearing, which is not in fact a sweater, but is this shawl cowl dicky thing that I put together. So basically, you can see it's a little curvy at the bottom. Uh, I started working on this last winter because I really wanted something to wear under coats. Personally, for me, shawls just they seem to get bunched up, they unravel. I can't keep them together. They're like bunching up in the back or they're under the shoulders. They just don't work for me. So this is what I came up with, and I recently finished it. So you can see in the front, it reaches all the way down to a peak, a point in the front, and the back is very short, um, so that it will tuck right under the back of your coat, but then it's not like bunching up back there, moving around, and getting in the way. I finished this, and it is now in testing. Uh, it's a really relatively straightforward pattern, nothing super fancy, and so hopefully going to be released maybe in early January is generally the idea. So it uses worsted weight yarn. The yarn I used for this is Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino, which is a little bit rustic. It's not a super soft yarn. And so as you can see, this isn't like a super soft drapey piece. If you used a softer yarn or maybe even a little bit of a lighter yarn, you would get probably more drape. Um, so I will kind of pop a photo in here of this actually under a coat, just so you can kind of see what it looks like. Um, it's really meeting my needs in terms of keeping me, and it does, if I didn't have, let's just take this over a second. Um, so it is, kind of close to the neck, keeping me warm. It could, you could make an even longer neck if you wanted. So it would come up even closer. I don't tend to like things like right under my chin there. It's a really flexible pattern. So it's really easy to resize. You're basically just going to knit the yoke until it reaches right about past your shoulders, and then you're going to split and work decreases down the front. So you can just, it starts all the way from up from the collar, so that, if you were to pick up the collar later, that can kind of alter the fit. But you don't have to worry about that here. So you can actually, work the collar, work the yoke as wide as you think you want it, try it on, and then make a decision from there. And there's, so that's pretty easy to customize your fit, but a couple of sizes are also in there as well. So this is something that is going to be coming hopefully in the near future. It is nice and warm. As I said, it's not the super softest, but it is a merino, so it's plenty soft. It's not like prickly or itchy around the neck or anything. And today I've been wearing a sweater that I worked on for a long time and I really like, but it has a bit of a high neck and it's itching me. It's driving me a little bit crazy, which is a little disappointing working on that sweater for so long. But that is not the case with this. This is not itchy at all. So there's that. So that is project one. This has no name as it stands. It's completely nameless. This one, however, has a name and it will be released this coming week. So this, I'm gonna get a close up because I really like this stitch pattern. This is the Sugar Frost hat. And I really love this. It's very comfy. So this uses some yarn from Hobby Yarns. The yarn was provided to me, so shout out to Hobby Yarn. And it is their upcycled alpaca blend and their Friends Kid Silk. So a lot of projects with Kid Silk, obviously, you're holding a heavy yarn with the lace weight. That's not the case here. You're never holding the two yarns together, but you are holding the Kid Silk double, just to give it a little bit more oomph, because it's very light and floaty. And I tried starting out a couple different ideas that I had with using the two yarns, and it was just too light. It didn't have enough substance. I doubled it on itself. It comes in a ball, and it was actually very easy to pull from both ends. So you've got one strand coming from the center and one from the outside, and they actually pull off together very nicely. So that was very easy to do. I didn't have to rewind it or anything. And once I had it doubled on itself, the pattern started showing up more clearly, and I really like it. So, as I said, you are never holding the worsted and the lace weight together. You're just holding the lace weight on itself, and it gives you this nice pattern. This is all created with slipped stitches. So you're only working with one color per row as well, per round. And I incorporated the decreases for the crown into the stitch pattern. So the stitch pattern basically is maintained all the way to the very tip top. I think this would be cute with a pom-pom. I don't have a pom-pom right now. So that's basically why I didn't put it on there. I created mine to be slouchy. You would not have to do that. You can easily shorten it up. You just start working your decreases sooner. You could also make it slouchier just by working longer before you start the decreases. It is a very drapey yarn. So the worsted weight is an acrylic alpaca wool blend. And the other one is obviously a silk mohair. So they're both very drapey yarns. And because you are combining the lace and the worsted, that's giving it even more drape. Because on the rows you're just working with the lace weight, even though it's held double, that yarn is thinner than the worsted. So it does have a light halo, but not as much halo as you would have if you were holding the yarns double throughout. So it's warm, but it is not excessively warm. So I do have a hat that I absolutely love that I designed a couple of years ago called Miss, Misse, and it is a brioche worked with a silk mohair, and it is so warm. It's very, unless it is very, very cold out, I have trouble wearing it for a very long period of time. I guess if I were just standing still outside, but I like to go for walks and get my exercise. And it's, I really cannot wear it for very long. It's very hot. This one a little bit more breathable. It is plenty warm, but I'm not overheating with it, which I think is key. So again, this is the Sugar Frost hat. This pattern is going to be dropping the first week of December. I will include a link in the description box down below in case you are interested in making one for yourself. It really is a very comfortable hat, a very easy and quick knit, easy to memorize stitch pattern. And it also includes 4 sizes. So if you are still haven't started your Christmas knitting yet, you need to do that. But if you haven't, it's a good choice for that. So Sugar Frost hat, another design. Just a teeny bit of progress that I'll show you with a sneak peek at another project. So this is some absolutely lovely yarn from Knit Picks. This is their Yakish, which is a sport weight wool yak blend, I want to say. So it is a sport weight baby alpaca superwash merino yak blend. This lovely color is called Seawall. It's just absolutely beautiful. And I have started a sweater. It does not look like much so far. And it will definitely need some blocking to kind of open up so you can really see what's going on here. So along like the shoulder lines, I've got this, because I need some blocking so you can open it up and see that little twist in there, and another one on the opposite side, obviously going in the other direction. Little twist in there. So this is actually the front of the sweater. So it's designed to poke at my microphone. It's designed to sit here, and then the sweater goes down. So this is the top of the shoulder. This line kind of sits here. The back of the shoulder is going to be picked up to cover the top, and then it's a drop shoulder. So as you can see, I have not made a ton of progress with this, The yarn is super soft and lovely. So it is a sport weight. I am knitting on a US 5. Most likely, once it is joined in the round, we'll have to switch to a US 6 to make sure I maintain my stitch gauge. Um, that just makes things a little easier working in the round on a slightly bigger needle. Um, and this little detail here is really the big thing um, for this piece. It's going to be relatively simple. This is yarn that was provided to me by Knit Picks, and this is something that is hopefully going to be coming in the deep winter months. So January, February. Hopefully that is when this is going to see the light of day. Of course, we got a lot of work and such coming up with the holiday season, so I'm not sure how much progress I'm going to be making on this, but I don't really have any gift knitting planned, so hopefully I can focus on this. So that is the other little design bit that I have been working on, and I think that's it for all I have to share in this episode. All right, I really haven't taken the time to share any sewing recently, so I thought I would drop a little sewing in here on this episode. Because I want to show you these really cute pockets that I made. So I am working on the Blair skirt. This is what it looks like. And mine basically looks almost exactly the same. So I am also sewing my skirt in a corduroy, and it is essentially the exact same color. So this is a project progress I have made so far. So I just think these pockets are really cute. They turned out really well. They have like a little pleat in the front, a decorative pleat. I have not obviously sewn on the buttons yet. I got this cute lining that I think matches really well. I think I did a pretty good job sewing where the lining uh, is not really peeking out. So you sew all around the edges here, you edge stitch, and kind of make sure that the lining is not peeking out underneath, but it is inside nice lined pockets. I cannot remember where I got this corduroy. I want to say it might be from Blackbird Fabrics, but I am not 100% certain. I bought it a while back. I did buy it specifically for this skirt. And then, I don't know, then it was like spring and it was, not wearing a corduroy skirt in the spring. I do love this color. So the skirt has some cute pleats in the back. Otherwise, not much going on back here yet. So the next step is to hem the bottom and then the front has these like a button placket for the front. So it's a button down front and then a waistband. So I have not been working on this super long. My dad's girlfriend, no, let's try this again. My dad volunteered me to sew something for his girlfriend. um, and by that, what he said was, "Oh, I told her I would ask you if you could do this," which is essentially like, how can I possibly say no to that? That is a set of curtain panels, no pattern. She gave me the originals that she needed copied, and she gave me the fabric. And so I'm trying to finish this up so that I can then move on and get those panels done and not have them hanging over my head for the holidays. They aren't complicated, but like I said, there's no pattern. I just had to kind of pick apart the original to sort of figure out what was going on and figure out the dimensions of the fabric. But I don't want to screw up and cut the fabric that she bought wrong. So I ordered some muslin. I ordered some muslin so that I could try it out, make sure I got the measurements right before cutting into her fabric. And then I washed it, and now it looks like this. So it's it's a ridiculous wrinkled mess. And I've got to iron this stupid muslin before I can even do my like fake trial project, before I can start her actual curtain panels. It's not great. I'm not thrilled. Um, and the really annoying thing is that like this, because they're curtain panels, so I'll be able to reuse this muslin, but it's very wide. Um, and although it did shrink a fair bit when I washed it, so it's really hard to iron because it's so wide. And I just have a little. I mean, we have a full size ironing board, but it's downstairs, and up here in my studio, I mostly use my little baby ironing board, and so just one thing after another. But I want to get that done so it's not hanging over my head for the holidays, because I want to knit myself a really cute dress, and I'll show you the fabric. Sew myself a really cute dress, and I'll show you the fabric. So I got this really cute, I believe it's a flannel. I believe it's actually Eddie Bauer brand. Joanne carries some of that, which I think is sort of an interesting take on the Christmas colors. It's looking a little red. It's looking a little yellow here, but this is a little bit more green throughout here in reality. And with the burgundy, just think it looks kind of like a neat take on Christmas colors. So I want to sew myself a bluette dress, and I want to get started on that. So I need to get these other projects finished. And then, as I said, I'm not really knitting for the holidays, but I was considering maybe trying to sew something for my dad. When I was a kid, he always wore these flannel shirts, and they were, so that was when I was really little. And then by the time, like the 90s grunge flannel trend came, I stole his shirts, and they were so old at that point and so soft because they had been washed so many times. Um, so it just, flannel shirts kind of remind me of my dad, and I was thinking about maybe making him a flannel shacket, which is kind of like a shirt jacket combo. But I'm just not sure if I really have the bandwidth to do that before Christmas. The problem is that his birthday is in August, and that's not a great time to receive a shacket. So we'll see. We'll see. We've got, sewing is faster than knitting, but there's a lot of other stuff going on in the holiday season, of course. So I don't know, but that is what has been happening with my sewing. And please wish me luck getting those curtain panel things done. All right, that is about all I have to share with you today. Sadly, no new yarn to share. That's always a bummer. Hopefully, I'll get some for Christmas and be able to share that then. Thank you so much again for joining me for this relatively short episode this time. Links to everything that I've talked about are in the description box down below. If you enjoyed this episode, I hope you will give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. New videos here every Saturday. If you're looking for me on social media, you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Media Peruana. See you next time.